Yeah, and let's have a look at some of the polls. I mean, they seem to be bouncing all over the place here after this announcement, and you would expect that. You would expect there to be kind of a natural boost. Reuters even has Harris ahead of Trump by 2 points, 44-42, in a national race. But swing states seem to be still edging Trump's way. What do you make of the polls as you see them? And do you think they're going to sustain this bounce, when we come out of the Democrat National Convention?
No, and like you said, look, they went from, running a candidate who was like the Walking Dead to running someone who, stays up past 4 o'clock and doesn't trip over sandbags, right? So, of course, you're going to see this, revived sense of enthusiasm right now because Democrats, for the first time in, about 3 weeks, have something to rally around cohesively, and that is Kamala Harris. That being said, with the poll numbers, that Reuters poll, I believe, if I read that one correctly, they had a larger sample size of Democrats. So, of course, she's going to be up in the polls. Second, Hillary Clinton was, I think she had, a 90% chance of winning just days before the election, and she lost. So polls don't mean everything. And when it comes to these swing states, a state like Arizona, for example, the borders are Kamala Harris. She failed miserably. And Arizona is a border state. Those people, that is one of their top issues, if not their top issue, because they directly feel the consequences. I'm in New York. I feel the impact of the border crisis, but I don't feel it the same way Arizonians do. And I think that's going to be hard for her to overcome.
And does that, that Arizona issue, for example, does that make it more likely then that she might pick the Arizonan as her vice presidential nominee?
Yeah, someone like Mark Kelly. Look, Mark Kelly is considered to be a moderate, and Kamala Harris needs to balance out her ticket because despite the fact that GovTracker tried to erase their rating of her as being the most liberal senator, it still stands that her record is available for us to look at. So picking someone like Mark Kelly, North Carolina's Governor Roy Cooper, those are more tempered Democratic candidates and might be able to appeal to a group of voters that Kamala would not be able to get with someone like Gretchen Whitmer on her ticket. That said, has Mark Kelly done a great job fixing the border crisis? No. Has he signed onto resolutions condemning Kamala Harris? No. And I think Arizonans will remember that.
Well, indeed. And, just on that sort of, trying to balance things between the moderates and the left, there was a fascinating bit in the Biden Oval Office address where he revealed in his final months he's going to be making a big push to what he called reform the Supreme Court. Have a listen to this.
I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy. Supreme Court reform.
Now, presumably this means more justices and term limits so that the left can get their way on the courts. Does this show there's still a concern about getting the left to come out and support whatever the ticket winds up being?
I think they hope that they can tie the Supreme Court and the Dobbs decision together by saying, well, if we had a different makeup of the court, abortion would not have, or Roe versus Wade would not have been turned down. That being said, what's really frightening about this is a party that claims to be, pro-freedom, pro-democracy, what have you. Alexander Hamilton in Federalist 78, he wrote and he warned that a judiciary that is co-opted by either the executive or the legislative branch puts every single person's rights in jeopardy. If you have the executive branch trying to create reform, which by reform he means what the things you mentioned, but also an independent commission to look over ethics at the Supreme Court, getting Congress involved. When you have that type of structure where there's now not 3 branches of government, but really 2 branches of government that both try to fight to control the third, you threaten everybody's individual liberties. And I think it's really scary that that is what they're putting on their platform right now.